Welcome to the third weekend of GT World Challenge Asia, and a favourite of drivers, teams and championship itself. The Fuji International Speedway hosts the midpoint of the 2026 season. The circuit sits under the shadow of the active stratovolcano Mount Fuji as an icon of Japan, sitting just under 3,800 meters. It is Japan's highest mountain. GT World Challenge spans across the globe, America, Australia, Europe and Asia, with some of the most spectacular vehicles racing today. Some we see here in Asia, others we do not. But certainly we have Ferrari, a great preference in the Asian market. Some cars very different to drive than others. A challenge for the Lamborghini and the McLaren, not so much so for the Mercedes, which is a preferred driver, a preferred car of the AM driver. Porsche though, one of the very best. 2 weekends ago, the Blue Ribbon's 24 Hours of Spa, the largest all GT3 race in the world. 69 cars heading towards Eau Rouge in front of hundreds of thousands of fans. Unfortunately, chaos on the first lap, eliminating 5 cars, and Audi losing both their hopes very early on. Ferrari also found themselves in the melee of the early laps as McLaren and Mercedes duked it out for the top spots. A puncture for the leading Ferrari at dusk promoted the man-filter Mercedes to the head of the field, and things began to unravel for AF Corsa. Asia competitors, high-class racing, lost their bonnet, but remained competitive as the night event and live music was enjoyed. Night brought many challenges. Seb Bowen and Aston Martin having this big shunt. Lightning illuminated the sky, and Sarah Bovey also destroyed her Aston Martin. And then finally, a rainstorm momentarily flooded the circuit. When the morning came, more misery as the leading Aston Martin also retired in the hands of Nicky Team. And rising to the top in the heat of Sunday, Porsche, with 3 entries still capable of victory in a 9-car lead train. It became 8 when this contact led to another puncture for Ferrari. And after a last round of pit stops, the Lion Speed GP came out in the lead to take Porsche's first victory at Spa in 6 years. It had been a hugely hot and challenging 24 hours. Yet, somehow, their 992 didn't have a scratch. After the Spa 24 Hours Blue Ribbon event, the global standings look like this. Mercedes lead Porsche, but by such a close margin, it's likely to change this weekend here in Asia. Fuji has hosted every season of GT World Challenge Asia and therefore is a known quantity to our teams and drivers excited to get back to racing after an extended break. There's a new livery for championship leading Ghiretti and Huang and their 911 that partners with Evangelicon Racing for Fuji. Its EVA Unit 1 livery has featured in Japanese motorsport since 2010. It's a 3rd livery in as many races. In general, Absolute have a lot more cars. Andy Tan and Thierry Vermeulen return to the championship in an Audi this time, while Aaron Lim and Hazik O add to the competitive AM entry in a Porsche with a tribute Keith Haring livery. Another Porsche opened up for GT America Giro Carl Washington and Tom Sargent, who will guest in this ONE livery 992 in the Silver AM class. The only driver to win here at Fuji on the entry list is Lu Wei, who curiously has a new number for this weekend and a new livery. He's sacking off the purple for black. Lauren Heinrich partners him. The Fuji circuit looking stunning as the cloud has lifted slightly And we now have an absolutely rammed full grid of fans, teams and drivers. Japan Cup here, of course, alongside the GT World Challenge Asia, creating an SRO Power Tour event, the first one of 2026. This will be repeated in Okayama at the end of August. It's a great atmosphere down on the grid, the cloud lifting. We've even got a little bit of blue sky to grace our first race of the weekend. GT World Challenge Asia debuting, Japan Cup following, and the same rules apply for Sunday's race action. Lots of other action with lots of fun from Roadster Cup and Porsche Challenge as well. The circuit in Fuji opened in 1966 and was modified to its current layout for 2005 Japanese Grand Prix. 4.5 kilometers in length, it has a straight that's over 1.2 kilometers with 16 turns. It's well known to teams and drivers alike. And let's now drive on board and see what it's like from the driver's eye point of view with Jackson Evans.
Hey guys, you're on board with Jackson Evans for a lap from the driver's eye at Fuji Speedway in the number 15 Audi R8 LMS Evo 2 for Phantom Global Racing. Obviously super long straight here at Fuji, so really important to look for that brake marker at turn 1, sort of aiming for the 120 mark. Really hard brake back down to first gear, making sure we get to that curb on the inside. Can get pretty loose on the exit there, but important run down to turn 3, which is a very fast corner here. In the Audi, we stay 4th gear, really trying to maximize that inside curb. Really important not to run too wide as there's track limits violations there, and then probably one of the best corners. A long double right here, really hard to keep the car on the edge and the mid-corner speed up. Again, focusing on the brake, getting down to the apex here at turn 6 before another long run down to the chicane. Little bit tricky as the tire starts to go away. Don't want to run too wide as there's track limits violations. A really hard brake once again at the Dunlop Bridge here, back down to first gear. Really good passing spot, trying to maximize that inside curb, open up the left here. Again, driving it off nice and hard, use all the track. Probably one of the hardest last sectors that we go to, all about flow here, using all the track, trying to keep that minimum corner speed up. Back to second gear for turn 15, really important to get that inside curb, help pull the car around, watch the track limits on the exit. And then the last corner, really wide entry, we try and open up as much as we can so that when we do get back to the throttle, it's a nice square exit and we can maximize that speed down the front straight. As I said, it's very long, sets up some really good passing opportunities down at turn 1. So hopefully you enjoyed a lap on board with me in the Audi R8, and thanks for tuning in.
Jackson Evans has been a complete star so far this year. Look forward to seeing what he can do today in his Audi. A couple of degrees warmer this afternoon since we had qualifying this morning. A decent amount more track temperature, but still a way bit down on what we had in practice and testing over the last couple of days. There is our GT World Challenge Asia and Japanese Cup drivers. The championship looks like this after round number 4 with Ruohan and Alessandro Ghiretti on 70 points. The biggest gap that any driver has ever had going into round number 5, with Anthony Liu with 53 points. And then the silver pairing of James Yukwai and Frankie Chen, 3rd spot. And watch out for them, particularly in the first race that really plays into the hands of our silver competitors, particularly as the first 2 in our championship do have success penalty from Mandalika last time out. 70 points, the largest amount of points that any combination has ever had going into the 5th round of the championship. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for our top 2. Another car we're expected to see doing very, very well, and it's only a single driver entry this weekend, is Adderley Fong with Hannah.
I'm now here with Adderley Fong from the number 13 car. Adderley, you're starting from a really great place today and driving 2 stints. How are you feeling about the race?
Pretty good. I mean, I think with the extra driving time, I was able to get on top of the setup, fine-tune it quite a lot, and with the driving time, gave me more time to get back into the Ferrari mode because I was racing here in the 24 hours a month ago, but in another brand of car. So not too bad because it's a bit of cloud cover today, so not pure sunshine, and the aircon works great in the Ferrari. So after the start, I think I'll be putting it on, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yes, I feel like I see you quite often here. Do you feel like there's anything unique about Fuji in terms of setup for the car?
I think it's a very all-round circuit. You have the high speed in Sector 1, straight line, and then you have the high-speed corners in Sector 2. Then all Sector 3 is technical and tricky. So you have to have a balance between aero and mechanical grip. And I think we found a sweet spot in pre-qualifying. So we just brought that setup onto quali, and it's pretty similar in race 1. And hopefully it plays out for us.
That's great to hear. Good luck in the race.
Thank you.
Adley usually in a silver AM entry with Jay-Z, but Jay-Z not here this weekend, which means he moves to a silver class entry, because of course he himself is silver, and he does not have a teammate. So a different category for him to compete in, but he has to do the full race. He also is a new entry in silver, so he gets an extra 3 seconds in the pits. Let's go down now to speak with Hannah once more.
I'm here with pole position David Chen Wan in the 96 car. Congrats again on pole position. Everybody's going to be chasing you into turn 1. How do you feel about your approach on the opening lap?
Well, I thank you for pointing out the obvious. For sure, there will be some pressure going into T1. As we all know, Fuji, we have a very long straight, and then T1 is prone to mistake. Also, when you're driving your clean lap, you brake a bit too late, you overshoot, you brake early. Of course, everybody else swamp you. So I just hope I get that right moment. Cold tires, everything. As long as I can keep T1 in check, the rest of the first lap should be okay. But as we all see from quali, the competitors, including my teammates actually, Adley in T3, we are all very, very close. So it will be interesting to see in the race how the pace will show.
Great. I'm looking forward to seeing a great start from you. Do you have any message for the fans here today?
As we said earlier, this is my return to the World Challenge Asia after last year racing only for 2 rounds. So hopefully I can keep up with the momentum, and please cheer for us and Forza Ferrari.
Great, thank you.
David Chen on the pole position in the car 96 that he shares with Louis Caixun, and is the team owner of Harmony Racing, which means his client effectively is right behind him in Adley Fong. Adley is going to need to be careful going into turn number 1. Very, very tempting to make a dive bomb down there, and we always see a little bit of action. We do not want to see Harmony Racing having issues down there, but they're going to be pushed hard because they're going to have Frankie Chen to their outside. They're going to have Akish Nandi in the Lamborghini in 4th place. The whole of row 2 is single driver silver entries. The first 2 rows silver entries. Those silver cars will have, or single driver entries will have an extra 7 seconds in the pits. Adley Fong as a new driver in the silver category, an extra 3. So that is something to consider. There is the winners last time out with Anthony Liu with 15 seconds in this pit stop. Let's go back down to Frankie Cheng with Hannah.
I'm here with P2, the driver of the car number 16th. In qualifying, you were only 500ths off of pole. Do you have any strategy for the opening lap? Are you going to be more patient, or are you going to try to go for an easy overtake?
Well, the championship is important for us, and the race is 1 hour. You know, it was a good qualify, and I'm happy with starting P2, and my aim is to, hand over the car smoothly to my teammate, and then, aiming for a podium.
Thank you. Do you have any parts about Fuji Speedway that you really love and you'd love to share with the fans?
Yeah, we have been racing in Fuji for many years now, and it's an amazing track and also amazing place to visit, and we really enjoy racing in Fuji, and I'm always been looking, to come back and, and to race here and to enjoy the environment.
Thank you. Good luck in the race.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Happy hunting ground race ones for Frankie Chen and James Yu Kwai. Third in Sepang. They took a victory in Mandalika in their overall as well as in their category, and so we'll always try and be strong because of course in qualifying they're silver entries with the majority of an AM grid. We'll have the AM drivers starting alongside those silver entries that will obviously have silver drivers starting, so really an opportunity and a need for those silver drivers to scuttle away off into the distance and try and build up a gap so that when they hand over to their second silver driver, who are being pursued by pros in the second half of the race, they have an advantage. Successfully done so far by James and Frankie, and they really do want an overall title for a silver pairing. That's their goal, but they do have to obviously fight against Pro-Am entries. And if you get safety cars and things like that in the middle of the race, it nullifies the sort of performance that they are able to do. Lili Chow was very strong in his Mercedes. Shares that with Elias Sepanen. They have they've scored in every race that they've finished, but they've not yet been in the top positions as a silver AM. It would be tough, I think, a silver AM to be in the top three, but they have in silver AM been on the podium throughout the last three races behind the Porsche Center Okazaki cars, which I think have gotten a bit of an advantage here because, well, they're local, or at least from this country, and race quite a lot here. This car 89, will be on the pole position for tomorrow's race, but Tony Ruohan, who we usually see quite strongly qualify, he is right in the middle of the pack, and I'm not sure that's a great place to be. Sandy Stuvik is alongside me in the commentary box, who did a couple of laps on, was it Thursday, Sandy? Raced here a good few years ago, and we will talk to you in just a few seconds, Sandy, but before we do, we're going to head back down to Hana, who's sweeping up some more interviews.
Car number 11, Wei Lu, you are in a high-level field. How do you feel about the start of the race today?
Well, I hope everything goes wrong because we had mechanical issues since day one, and the team trying so hard to fix the car. I think the car is finally fast again. So I'm just so happy to be here again, but not at the back. So I'll try my best to see what happens because the season's still long. There are 4 more races to go. And hopefully we have a clean race and grab some points.
Great. It's good to hear that things are looking up. I hope to see you near the front of the pack.
Wei Lu starts 9th position in, as we already said in the pre-show, a black car with the number 11 on it. He's never raced in GT World Challenge Asia other than with number 4. He has raced a non-purple machine, but not in GT World Challenge Asia. I've seen him in other championships racing different color cars, but so he's got rid of purple, he's got rid of number 4, and he's now in a number 11, and it's black. And it still looks really good. I do like a black racing car. We were about to introduce Sandy. Sandy, Fuji, really is a favorite circuit for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the facility and just the track in general for the drivers is extremely enjoyable. You've got a good mix of corners, both low speed and high speed. And of course, the technical Sector 3 really sets apart the men from the boys, shall we say.
And it's a track that almost encourages you to overtake.
Yeah, I mean, with those wide entries into corners, it offers ample opportunity to overtake. So I think this is going to be a very exciting race.
The problem about being encouraged to overtake is sometimes that means that contact happens. You can be so wide into turn number 1, you can't even see somebody coming up the inside of you.
Yeah, so hopefully we have a smooth and uninterrupted race. But let's see.
You're such an optimist, Sandy. If you've ever watched racing around here, you'll know that. I mean, one year we had a crash on the start-finish straight, and so cars were directed to go into pit lane. Half the cars failed to follow those directions and got disqualified. Wow. So we ended up with somebody like the driver who finished in 13th position actually taking the victory.
Wow.
That was a couple of years ago. Last year we had a late race safety car which caused absolute chaos and a big sprint to the flag. I think it was in race 1 because the pros were in the cars. So optimistic that we'll have a clean race, but I would sit by your beds and get excited for something that is likely to kick off, especially with, well, the AMs will just be trying to survive, I imagine, but the mistakes can come out. At least it's not too hot. Anthony Liu took victory last time out after waiting a couple of years. Let's hear how he feels today.
I'm here with car number 37, driver Anthony Liu. How are you feeling going into the first race of Fuji today?
We have a 15-second success penalty from Mandalika, so today is all about damage limitation, but we'll see how we go after the start.
Great, good luck in the race today.
Thank you.
And they are a bit of a speciality when it comes to race 2. So their race 1 positions haven't been mammothly strong, a 5th in Malaysia and 18th in Mandalika race 1, but the race 2s are where they've scored strongest. So a 2nd and a 1st for Anthony Liu. He's got Dorian Boccolacci back alongside him, but it wasn't Dorian who took the victory because Dorian missed last round in Mandalika, and it was Luke Hartog who took the victory alongside Anthony Liu. But the plans are already made at the start of the season, so the tickets were already booked, and Dorian coming here. I'm sure Luke is watching, so good morning, Luke. I hope it's not too early for you, and you'll be watching your car. Hopefully have a good result, but as Anthony said, 15-second success penalty in the pit, so they'll be wanting a safety car.
Yeah, definitely. They'll want a safety car, preferably in the first half of this race to close down that gap to the silvers and then allow Dorian, the pro, to make some more positions up.
Although both Dorian and Ghiretti struggled in the pro qualifying.
Yeah, they did. So it will be interesting to see now what their strategy will be if they did take those tires in the quali and how it will affect them now in the race.
Just had a quick look at, for me, the surprise of the season, the Andres Pato, otherwise known as various other names, and Jackson Evans, who new to the championship, Jackson, and has absolutely starred. Last weekend, or last time out in Mandalika, a 2nd and a 3rd overall. They are a Pro-Am entry, but they're right up there in a, is it fair to say, prehistoric Audi?
I mean, the Audi's been around for a while now, but clearly it's still a very competitive platform. So the team's doing a good job to ensure that that car stays competitive.
Yeah, and actually Andy Tan and Thierry Vermeulen switching from Ferrari to Audi for this weekend. So we've got 3 Audis on the grid. And I think we spoke a little bit in qualifying how an Audi is a really compliant and comfortable car for an AM driver.
Yeah, it's a very well-balanced car. I mean, in terms of GT3 machinery, it's got to be one of the most accessible cars to drive for an AM. It's very easy to feel the limit of the car, and as such it's easy to be at the limit consistently.
Getting ourselves ready to fire up a Nissan right at the tail of the field. That's going to be an interesting onboard to follow. You can watch the onboard separately on our YouTube channel if you wish. And the 500 at the back of the field because they cut a tyre at the very start of the session. By running on that tyre and generating temperature in the rim, they were then unable to get that rim off the hub, basically missed the whole first part of qualifying. Then they damaged the floor. Having spoken to the team, they don't know how they damaged the floor. I speculated that they probably ran over a curb. And so when I went down there to speak to the guys, they were fixing the splitter and floor to be able to fix properly rather than flap with the aerodynamics of the car basically dragging the floor to the ground and making this classic flappy noise that you can hear. That should all be good now, but you know, they are, as one of the mechanics said, but she's so old. and so they're working with an old girl, still trying to get the best out of her. And I think it's a kind of car that you want to have around here. It's always been strong in Fuji. We see in the Japan Cup it's right at the sharp end, and qualifying was good as well in the second session once they were able actually to qualify. Here is the grid then. Pole in the AM category for Ben Porter, who will start that number 51 AMAC Motorsport Porsche. They now have the modern version. They used to be a step back. Silver AM has the Climax Racing Mercedes on the pole. Dorian Boccolacci and Anthony Liu starting the Pro AM pole position. And then Harmony Racing 96 on the pole in silver and overall. They'll start on the front row of the grid alongside the Audi of Kung Fu Frankie Cheng. The second row is the single drivers in silver of Adli Fong and Akish Nandi. And then Anthony Liu starting in fifth position with Huang, the championship leader, alongside him. Lili Chao starts the number 27 Mercedes with a welcome return to LM Corsa in eighth position in their Ferrari. Wei Lu with problems with that car in ninth spot. They haven't found the sweet spot, in 10th position for Tony Ruohan. Andres Pato starting in 11th with Ben Porter, the AM pole up there in the heady heights of row 6. Row 7 flicking through quickly, and then row 8 for the BMW of the Team Stude and of KRC. Championship leaders in AM on row 9, row 10, JJ Song, and then Setuan Santosho and Hazik O. We welcome the Malaysian drivers in 22nd position. We've also got Kyle Washington starting in 24th position in his Porsche, right in the mix of the AM category cars. A rather mixed up tail of the field with a silver AM, a silver, and then David Chipto Bianturo in his Ferrari. 25 cars starting this third round of the SRO GT World Challenge Asia Championship. A reminder that we have 2 formation laps. So the drivers, particularly this designed for AM competitors, not necessarily to get temperature, although we talk about temperature a lot, it's just to try and settle their nerves, really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously getting temp into the tires helps, will help them a lot on the first lap, so this gives the drivers ample opportunity to get heat in the brakes, in the tires, and also just to set their mind for the start of the race.
A clear view ahead of David Chen. Silver driver, although owner of Harmony Racing, was competitive in the GT4 SRO Cup last year. We saw him race a little bit with us last year, part season, but then we found a driver to partner in that 96 Ferrari, and so he stepped aside, but he stepped back in again for the remaining part of the season, or at least until they can find a driver to partner Liu Kaixun. They need a strong driver though, because Kaixun is looking like he could be one of the very, very best young drivers in the championship.
Yeah, he's shown tremendous pace so far this season, so I look forward to seeing how he does in this race around Fuji.
A new livery to get used to as well. There's that cherry blossom Japanese inspired tribute livery. It's stunning. It needs to be taken off that car and preserved. Harmony Racing on one side of the grid, Phantom Global on the other. A backup with Adli Fong in third spot. They need to go 2 by 2. It's a long way down to the start line here. It's not like they run out the last corner and instantly get to the flag. They have a long trundle at a slow speed before the safety car moves across, and then they won't necessarily accelerate until they're told to by the lights. Waiting then for those lights to turn. And slightly holding back is the Audi. Now we're waiting for those lights to turn off and the cars to accelerate. Still waiting, still waiting. It's a long hold. They're all in a good line. And now they come trundling past our commentary position. But it's such a long hold when you've got the line all the way down the far end of this over 1 mile straight. Now we can go racing, and now the field spreads out and heads their way down towards the first turn. It's been a jump from Frankie Chen in the Audi to the head of the field, and he claims the inside line. And Corsa trying to go around the outside and make it 4 wide in their red Ferrari. I'm sure they've made up a couple of positions by doing so. And side by side, David Chen goes with Frankie Chen into turn number 4, and pushed a bit wide, so here comes Adley Fong with a switchback. Fong gets up 1 position, and maybe he can get the lead of the race around the outside of Frankie Chen. This is for silver honours, but a great, clever move from Adley Fong, and he moves into the lead of the race. And now they've got to be really, really careful into the braking zone not to concertina up. Everybody is still moving. They've been really, really well behaved, Sandy.
Yeah, no contact at all that we've seen, so really nice clean start there. A lot of shuffling position. Looks like the 60 Ferrari has made up a lot of ground.
And now under attack from Anthony Liu. Crunch of carbon though in the middle of the pack. Yes, we've got a big contact right in the middle of the pack. I think I saw a BMW, at least one BMW facing the wrong direction. I think it was Team Study in their number 5 car, and a few others have been delayed. We'll get the timing corrected as they come across the line to see exactly the movers and shakers on lap number 1. But it is going to be Adley Fong who leads over the line for the first time. Frankie Chen in 2nd position, David Chen in 3rd. And what about Akish Nandi? Is he held on to 4th spot?
Looks like it.
Yes, he has. Wakisaka in 5th, and here comes Anthony Liu trying to go around the outside of him. Is that going to work? Oh, he's actually trying to go, being passed here by Lili Chao. Lili Chao in the Mercedes up the inside of Anthony Liu, so he was delayed, maybe attacked at the wrong moment. And up goes the young Chinese driver up the inside of the highly experienced Anthony Liu, who has 7 victories to his name. Equally the most successful driver in GT World Challenge Asia over these years. Fong, Chen, Chen. David Chen is not giving up on hassling this Audi, is he? Be right on board. Andres Pato was a mammoth loser on lap number 1. You can see he's barely come across the line, and we've got Kyle Washington off the side of the circuit as well, although it looks like he might be able to continue. He'd made up 7 positions on lap number 1, but the big loser was the, there's Andres Pato coming into the pits. Also Yamaguchi in the BMW, and Hiroki Nagai lost 9 positions, but for a team right at the sharp end of the standings, this is a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the incident we saw at the chicane there with the cars bunching up.
Yeah, we heard it, but we didn't see it. It was happening right under the camera shot at the chicane. And whilst the others have been delayed, only Andres Pato coming in with broken rear suspension. Yeah, it's not a puncture, that is game over completely. And it doesn't even look like the bodywork is damaged. That must have been wheel-to-wheel contact.
Yeah, really straight onto the wheel and completely damaged that rear corner.
Look at the progress from the 500. Up to 12th position for Aoki. The sort of thing you would expect from a Super GT 300 champion, but that was 25 years ago. Just whisper it. And he has now clear track ahead of him, pursuing Tony Ruohan. He is obviously last in silver because all other silver cars started right at the front of the field, but clearly benefited from a couple of cars getting into each other at the chicane and also being completely out of the position. I love the stat about most overtakes made on lap number 1, but it always is awarded to somebody who has had a bad qualifying.
Yeah, yeah. Such is the game sometimes.
So David Chen from the pole position down to 3rd spot, passed by his teammate, passed by an old sparring partner in Frankie Chen. Remember, Chen, the most experienced driver in the championship with 77 starts. That compares to David Chen's 23 starts, and yet That is a retirement as we expected. We're not going to see Jackson Evans in the 15 machine, and that's a huge disappointment for Phantom Global Racing. Somebody else must have damaged front suspension.
Yeah, there's got to be something else somewhere.
So, first four go through. Wakisaka in 5th position. Here is the 9-11 and the 11 side by side, so really significant for the championship. Huang not making up a lot of ground here, and Wei Lu trying to go around the outside at 2. That gives him the inside for 3, and that will work out. But the Porsches are not really showing the starring performance that we may have seen in other events, and of course that whisper it is sometimes down to BOP and how they have been balanced in comparison to other cars. We generally have seen them very strong here. If you look at the previous winners, Porsche have won 3 of the last 4 races that we have held here. Even though if you think about it, Nissan and BMW have always been strong as well.
Yeah.
There is a Nissan and there is a BMW, 11th and 12th. Now they seem to be pulling up to the tail of the 911 and the 11. Whether they're going to be able to grunt their way past along the main straight remains to be seen. But it does look as though we know in the hands of the pros the BMW was strong, although Tony around there just missing the apex at the penultimate turn, just didn't quite get the nose in. As we spoke a bit in qualifying, there are different characteristics in all of these different cars. Of course, you've got mid-engine cars, you've got front-engine cars, rear-engine cars, and that changes the balance in which the car inherently has. Does it have oversteer? Does it have understeer? When you accelerate, how much weight moves onto the back axle? And there's the Pro-Am class leader in Wakisaki. That's incredible. Remember, we haven't seen that car this year. Royo Ogawa will be the pro in that machine in the second half of the race. But great to welcome back Wakisaka to his 35th start in GT World Challenge Asia. Silver Ram being led by Climax, and they have a good advantage over the next silver partner, which is down in 13th spot, Brian Lee for GTO Racing. Now, of course, sharing the BMW with Max Hussein, so moving across from Porsche, which he's always raced in GT World Challenge Asia until this year. And Lee down in 13th spot. The leader in leader in AM, Ben Porter up in 8th position, which completely goes against all the other chat about Porsche not being strong, because they're being as strong as ever.
Yeah, I think that's partly due to Ben Porter just being a very good driver. But yeah, the Porsches, they're kind of up there. They seem very strong in Mandalika, so maybe...
So, on board with David Chen. Let's have a look at this circuit. Let's have a look at how the car is feeling, Sandy. You'll have a much better expert view than me, and you can have a look at the steering inputs and see how this car feels going into turn number 1.
Yeah, definitely very interesting to see the comparison between the Ferrari and the Audi down the straight here. It looks neck and neck, really. Braking just before that curve there. Car's obviously a lot heavier now since they're fueled for the race. So there will not be braking as late as qualifying, but it certainly looks like he gained on that braking there. Let's see, into the high-speed turn 3. Looks like he's gaining again a little bit on the Audi. Now, are we going to get some aero wash? Oh, he's out of the wake of the Audi. He is really, this infield section looks like the Ferrari is very strong. Oh, Frankie just missing that apex there. Is he going to get risk of a dive into the chicane? Would be a long way back to do it from. But yeah, Ferrari looks mega strong on the brakes there. He just closes in on each braking point. Audi got a good exit up the hill here. And now let's see the technical turn, sector 3. Audi looks quite strong through here.
Didn't look as strong for the first 2 sectors, but may have focused on this final sector and the traction zones, because if you can be fast out the final turn, you can defend yourself all the way down to the first corner.
Yeah, definitely. And the Audi's still benefiting from the toe off of Adderley in front.
Second performance from Race Vision powered by AWS, suggesting the Audi strongest in the middle sector, but certainly not on that last lap it wasn't. Definitely stronger in the final sector from what we can see. David Chen much closer than he was one lap ago. Now there's really only a car length, and he's so much stronger on the brakes into turn number 1.
Yeah, I think we can expect a move on the brakes if David can get a little bit closer. I mean, let's see through this middle section. We saw how strong David was through here.
And that is what from talking to various drivers, from reading various things about GT3 cars, this new Ferrari loves to be thrown into corners. It loves to be late on the brakes. It loves to sort itself out in the middle of the corner, maybe a little bit weaker in the acceleration zones at the end of the turning phase. But we can see clearly there, David is just able to sit on that front end and gain so much ground. But in the last part of the lap, where you need a compliant rear end, slightly weaker than the Audi.
Yeah, certainly looks like it. Although we just saw Frankie with a small wobble off the chicane there. Perhaps now we will start to see a little bit of tire drag. Might see the cars moving around a bit more, especially in Sector 3, as now we watch Akash in the Soul Lamborghini.
Not quite on the pace of the front 3 silvers, but holding on to things. Akash having to run the full race himself, as he has chosen to do this year, which means a slightly longer pit stop for a single driver entry. The theory behind that is when a new driver gets in, it takes them some time to get up to speed. Whether they lose 7 seconds is debatable. Maybe if an AM driver in race 2 might lose 7 seconds getting up to pace, but certainly the pros that will be getting into the cars in the second half of this race, they'll be straight up to speed.
Yeah, they're not going to be losing 7 seconds. But yeah, certainly to the AMs, it is it's debatable for sure.
Akash on the overall podium at his home race in race 1 in Malaysia. Exactly what he needs to do. There was so much talk about focusing on that first race where there was no success penalties, because if you are a silver and you finish in the top 3, you might as well write any hopes of victory off in race 2 unless you get a safety car, because they had their own set of penalties on top of what the normal top 3 get. So they're really, really punished very, very hard. As we now ride on board with the Nissan, it's gone past both 9-11 and 11, and now he gets past Ben Porter and up to 8th position. This is great progress from Aoki. Interesting to see that Huang in the BMW that was with him earlier on hasn't got past our 2 championship protagonists down in 10th and 11th. Remarkable that they are down in 10th and 11th, but I suppose they are 3rd and 4th Pro-Am.
Yeah, I mean, we have to give props to Wakisaka in the 60 car, who's doing a fantastic job of staying with the silvers up top, giving his teammate the best chance, really. So that 60 will be one to look out for.
Yeah, that 60 machine, LM Corsa, obviously we saw Giancarlo Fisichella in it last year, quite famously being quite naughty in Pro-Am last season as a warm-up for the Suzuka 1,000 kilometers. They didn't enter the first 2 races of this year, our sort of, let's say, flyaway events, but great to see them back with us here in Japan, their homeland, and Wakisaka has a different teammate this year alongside him in Ryo Ogawa for this race, and Ogawa has raced with us before, so he's not completely new, but he's also a pro, so that makes less of a difference. 42 minutes remaining. Pit window opens at 35 minutes, and we have a 5-second penalty for a jump start from the 16 here. And the 16 is the Audi. So running alongside each other. Now, it's really, really hard to see from the front view, but this view will be better. He has to be behind the Ferrari alongside him. And yeah, now they're going to sort of get a bit too far away, but The race control have a much better view of that than we do, but presumably Frankie going a little early.
Yeah, it looked like he might have just been out of position. It looked like he was in front of the Ferrari.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. Difficult to see as the cars went away from that camera view, but 5-second penalty can be served in the pit stop, so they won't touch the car for an extra 5 seconds. And he will lose that second position, which will definitely mean a Harmony Racing 1-2 post pit stop, although of course no, only Nandi and Fong, so Fong will have an extra 7 seconds plus 3, but David Chen will not. So actually David Chen might well find himself back at the head of the field, because Nandi will have an extra bit of penalty, Cheng has a bit of penalty, but the advantage still good, and a fight still on track at least for second position. Now we'll see all of the we'll see the Pro AM entries coming in very, very early on. Let's now have a look at car 96's view. I think he was a little bit alongside because he's already made the jump there. So we saw from the front view and we're like, oh, he's managed to get the lead of the race. But actually, I think he was already in the lead when the lights went to, well, they didn't go to green, they went off, didn't they? I always want to say they go to green. Why can't we just have green lights again? It's much nicer. So yeah, Adli Fong will be taking 10 extra seconds in the pits, 7 seconds as a single driver plus 3 seconds as a new silver entry. Frankie Chen's going to have an extra 5 for that naughty bit of driving, and then Akish Nandi will have an extra 7 for being a single driver, which leaves David Chen in the 96 at the head of the field. But they are not, as I was about to say earlier on, and apologies for stumbling, I simply couldn't turn things up and down on my board. So Wakisaka expects him and Anthony Liu into the pits as soon as possible. They will take advantage of their pro or more experienced drivers as soon as they can when the window opens at 35. The silver drivers may choose not to, but there is still, of course, a slightly stronger and slightly weaker driver in each of those lineups.
Yeah, some contact there for the 18.
Presumably we're talking that being lap 1. The 18 was one of the cars to lose ground. As we take a look at a replay, and there's, I say, it wasn't Carl Washington. He didn't hit Carl Washington, he spun on his own. But I think that was the contact that we heard down at chicane, which eliminated the 15 car and delayed, who else got delayed in that? Yamaguchi in the 5, wasn't it? Great to see lots of fans with Team Study this weekend, including representatives from BMW Motorsport. I heard a German accent when I went down there into the garage, and so some PR representation from Buro Sud, and great to see that the BMW Motorsport brand has decided that they can come and support. Obviously Max Hesse, BMW Works driver, being provided to them in that 89 machine. A third different driver in that car we'll see in a few moments' time. There is the first 5 going through shot. A little bit of a wiggle from Li Chao as Aoki gets himself up nearly to 6th position. What a charge. I hope you've had second screen on his onboard, because it must have been absolutely spectacular from the back of the pack. Found it a little bit more tricky to get past Li Chao on this lap, but he's quicker through the apex. He's got better drive. Now he goes to the outside of the Mercedes, but the circuit's going to disappear from him, isn't it? Holding on around the outside, which is going to open up for him on the inside. Wow! Wow! Great move, and he shuts the door and makes sure that Li Chao is really punished for that. Where's the Mercedes? Might well be along the left-hand side. You can just about see him in the mirror, but the circuit is going right, so Li Chao needs to get out of that one and call it a day for the moment. Great move.
Yeah, really fantastic opening stint here by Aoki. He's come all the way from the back.
what is his lap time? Best lap time of 1:40.4. So he is faster than the cars that are in front of him on that best lap anyway. He'll start to struggle once he gets to Rakesh Nandi, but those are the silvers, so that kind of makes sense. One more lap for Anthony Liu will need to be done. I hear a car trundling along pit lane there, which is not supposed to be happening. Is that the 18 come back into the pits? It is. So Nagai, having taken a penalty, has maybe decided to call it a day because the bumper's fallen off. Or was it already off?
It was off,
Was
and
it?
it looked like he just drove down. It looks like he did a drive-through the lap before, and now seems to be retiring the car.
I mean, there's so much in that front end of the Porsche, isn't it? It's not that you see other cars where you have a crash structure and nothing else, but there's a lot packed into the front end. Very, very tight here for second position. Adli Fong up the road now. Well, actually, is he? No, not really. They are still absolutely locked together, the front three. It's all going to change once they make their pit stops. Now the question is, do you now think about pitting at a different time to the cars around you, try and almost undercut by creating space?
Yeah, I mean, this will all come down to the strategy that the teams decide. They could box early, put on a fresh set, and hopefully try to undercut their competitors. So let's see. I think it's still a little bit too early for any of the leaders to come in.
Problem is they're also going to be looking at where the traffic is, where they'll come back out onto circuit. It's a 90-second pit stop from top to tail without any penalties. So that is what the 96 will be doing. Now 90 seconds is just under a full lap. So actually there is, if you look at the tracker, space to do that. No. Yes, there is. A little look into turn number one. But no space this time. Into the pits comes our Pro-Am competitors. Wakisaka is in. Aoki, the silver car coming in to hand over to Miyake. The two Porsches, the 11 and the 911. Tony Ruohan also in pit lane. Interesting that Anthony Liu missing out on coming to the pits on this time. So he's choosing to go one more lap. Lili Chow in the Mercedes also staying out. We would expect that car to come into the pits with Ellis Sapainen lined up to take over. But it is going to be very, very busy in pit lane. Remember, a fixed amount of time that all these drivers and teams are allowed. Success penalties for the 37, for the 911 and for the 15. 15 out of the race, 911 and 37. So that should be an advantage then to Wei Lu, who is just outside the top 10 positions. Oh, David Chen looks to the inside. Has he managed to make this one stick? Yes, he has this time. A slightly slower lap by the looks of things from Frankie Chen. And do they now head to pit lane? I think they both do. And interestingly, it almost looks like he's defending as they go into pits. Has that been a late decision from the 96 team to sort of defend Frankie Chen? Clever from Harmony Racing to split their two cars as well, because they are otherwise on top of each other. And of course, Adli Fong, it doesn't matter when he pits, he's on his own, so he could come in whenever. Interesting to see that Nandi has come into the pits in the Lamborghini, so he's choosing to come in with the traffic. There's that 5-second penalty. And now the team are able to go to work. Curious to see how this all shakes out, of course. Remember, on track, we now have pro drivers in some of our cars, including Lauren Heinrich, Alessandro Ghiretti, Max Hesse, Max Usen. Incredibly strong drivers in the world of GT3 racing, laying down their fast laps. And you always hear it, don't you, Sandy? In and out laps, super important.
Yeah, super important, because there's seconds on the table there. So if you can shave off a couple seconds on the way in, especially that pit entry, you can be quite ballsy here and really carry a lot of speed in. And then, of course, that out lap, trying to maximize your pace on slightly cold tires and just getting them up to temp and up to racing speed. So will be very interesting to see where all the pros shake out once everyone's done their pit stops.
There is a success penalty being served by the winner last time out in Mandalika, the 37, Dorian Boccolacci, having to sit still. So frustrating when you're bolted into a car but you can't go anywhere and you see others passing you. It means that Dorian's going to have, I suppose, a lot of fun in trying to get past cars, but that is Wakisaka and the 30 car, the 60 car getting into the lead of the race, I think.
Yeah, looks like the 60 has managed to undercut. Now the question will be, are they going to be able to undercut Fong on this next lap now?
Into the pits comes Adley Fong, but don't forget that Adley Fong has success penalty, so no way that he's going to be able to compete with the 96. In theory, their pit stop should be 10 seconds different, so he's going to come out way behind. 96, we think, is ahead of 60. I mean, the tracker suggests that they are, but don't forget the tracker doesn't necessarily work on accurate information lap by lap. It takes time to reset. So there is the 60, and is that the 96 going through? Yes, it is. So okay, 60 is 96 is ahead of 60, but 60 has jumped 16, which would make sense because Frankie Chen had that penalty. So Ogawa right up there. We wait and see the white Ferrari of Adley Fong come out onto circuit. Now, he should definitely drop behind 96. He should definitely drop behind 16. James Ukwai, of course, now aboard the 16 machine. He is released quite early. So the 96 comes past, 60 into second position. 13 is going to be very close to 16. It's going to be tight coming into turn number 1, but it is the Audi ahead of the Ferrari, and Fong now with work to do to get himself back up to the head of the field, and it's all down to the regulation. But cold tyres for the 13. Around the outside goes the Nissan, up another position. Miyake has had the experience and the temperature in that and the confidence in that car, and now he moves right up to the head of the field. Kaishan Liu, remember, in the 96 now. Ogawa in the 3. He's a pro driver, right in the mix of the AM, so it could be a victory here for LM Corsa. And I'm not sure they've ever had a victory in GT World Challenge Asia. What a return it would be. Good reason to come back.
Yeah, very good reason to come back, and hopefully they're joining us at the next one in Okayama.
William Ben Porter still not taken his pit stop. He'll extend this as much as he possibly can before he hands over to Andrew McPherson and try and maximize his advantage. 1 minute and 16 seconds is his advantage over the 96. Let's go down to pit lane with Hana.
I'm here with the first stint driver of car number 16. It was such a tough battle in the top 3. Yeah. Unfortunately, you were awarded a 5-second penalty. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it was very close to start, and when I get close to the light, and I could not see the pole guy, I can only see the light. So, well, we served the penalty, it should be clear now. And let's finger crossed, and we have a smooth race.
What kind of driving are you hoping from your partner driver?
No, James is performing very well. He's a really fast driver, and I'm really lucky, happy to be teammate of him. So I'm pretty sure, he will perform very well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Don't forget, that's a really, really strong performance for the championship for these guys, with the 911 down in 11th position right now, and the 11 is in 7th spot. So this would be a big win if they can start fighting back to the head of the field. They will be 3rd position once Ben Porter has come into the pits and hands over to Andrew McPherson. That car that just briefly we saw the number 32, the guest entry with Tom Sargent now aboard, is going to be one to watch. He's down in 22nd position, but will be a fast charger through the pack. So, Liu Kai-shun in the 96, one of our big stars so far this year. Very, very strong competitor in the GT Academy competition, which is for drivers under 30 years of age. It's not necessarily just on pure performance as well and point scores. It takes into consideration fastest laps, consistency, all kinds of different parameters, and he is right at the sharp end. In fact, I have a feeling that he was the best performer in Mandalika last time out. Doesn't take into consideration his teammate whatsoever, which is why it really works. And great prizes also for the GT Academy come the end of the season. But James Yukwai also wants to play in that party and in his Audi. Now, Yukwai has Miyake on his tail, and that Nissan looks like it's in another category of racing. It's just so fast. And bearing in mind the poor team were trying to re-engineer the floor so it fitted back on again. The drivers are rewarding that work.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a race in Japan without a GTR, and there's no better track than Fuji, I believe, for this platform. So let's see now if he can hook up Sector 3. He'll be right on the Audi for that long run down the straight. See if they can use that straight line speed from the GTR combined with the slipstream from the Audi. Maybe we'll see a move into turn 1, but it looks like he's a bit far, struggling with the rear there. So maybe not this lap.
Into the pits comes Ben Porter. Should hand over to Andrew McPherson in the lead of AM, but we do know that Andrew's pace can vary. And so with Wang Zhongwei in the 22 leading, in second in AM, have to watch out for him closing in at a rapid rate of knots. Liu Kai-shun comes through the shot. Ogawa just a second and a half back. Then there's a bit of a gap between these two, and James needs to be careful not to drive too much in his mirrors. I think in the background we just saw Lauren Heinrich moving up ahead of Adli Fong. So there's a change of position as the 51 comes back out onto circuit. Will be easily in the lead of AM, but Heinrich already making inroads in the 11 machine, and yeah, up to 5th position now on our timing tower as McPherson tumbles down, having made that pit stop. Heinrich is 11.2 seconds back off the lead. That is a number to put in the back of your mind and think about in 25 minutes time when we come to the end of this race. How much progress can they make? Origin Motorsport complaining about that car all weekend long, so much so they've even changed the colour of the car to try and make it more lucky. Will it work out for them? Heinrich surely one of the fastest man on circuit, certainly if you look at where he is in comparison to the other fast drivers. Max Hesse down in 9th, Ghiretti 11th, Boccolacci 12th, and something on the track. That's a pit exit. I cannot tell what that is. It doesn't look like it's come from a car, does it?
I'm not sure as well. It's hard to make out exactly what that is.
Now, race control may choose, as we've done our pit stops, to go virtual safety car. Depends on where the marshals are to be able to snatch that. If that goes through a radiator, though, that could cause a bit of damage. And we actually spoke to Peter Daly yesterday, who's been at the British Grand Prix last weekend as clerk of the course, and he was talking about how he would get marshals into position before calling a virtual safety car, then call a virtual safety car. And let's go down to Hannah now, who can visit Nissan.
I'm here with the driver from car number 500, the Gojigen GTR. Aoki 選手、すごく素晴らしい燃え上がりでした。スティントはどうですか？でしたか？
すごくトラフィックが多くて危ないレースでしたけど、うまくポジションを作ることができて、オーバーテイクすることができたんで、楽しいレースでした。
さすが GT チャンピオンだと思いました。さすが GT チャンピオン。 三宅選手からどんなレースを想像してますか？どんなレースを想像してますか？三宅選手から。
三宅選手は素晴らしいドライバーですから、今プッシュして追い上げているので、なんとかシルバークラスの、ポディウム、今ポディウムのポジションですけど、トップになれるようにピットで応援したいと思います。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
Don't forget, go
So he
G
said
again.
that there was a lot of traffic. He did a really good job of making up places in the race. It was quite dangerous, but he was able to do it. And he's expecting good results from his co-driver, Miyake Senshu.
I think we might need an edit of the 500 overtakes from that first stint. There is the onboard that you can follow on our YouTube channel that's streamed separately to this feed. Don't go and watch it entirely, but put it on as a second screen alongside the race. And it might be a little less action-packed in the second half, because already the 500 in fourth position, and really, you've got to say, possibly not able to make much more ground up, although hunting and really causing lots of hassle for James Uquai. Looking further down the field, Tom Sargent, 22nd, he stayed there. And we are going to go full course yellow. So what race control have done there is they've moved the Marshall into position, decided then that they can do a quick snatch, and this will be hopefully a short full course yellow to snatch that piece of whatever it is quickly, and we can go back to green flag conditions before the need of a safety car. If we do this for too long, then Peter Daly likes to then throw a safety car to get the cars back up to speed, because full course yellow, you're only running at 60 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, so very slow now for all the drivers, and hopefully this won't affect the race too much.
Sometimes we do see teams and drivers able to make up ground under full course yellow. There's a certain secret to racing and driving under full course yellow, whereby you can shorten the racetrack effectively and drive. I think it was it in Malaysia where Akash was making up time under full course yellow?
I believe it was Mandalika.
Yeah, okay.
Might be wrong, but yes, we did see Akash gain a lot, and I think that technique can definitely be applied here in Sector 3, but we've gone green again now.
Yeah, so nice short course yellow. That hasn't affected anything too much. Back to racing conditions, not lost too much temperature in brakes and tyres, and obviously mainly pro drivers in the cars, so they won't have worried about that too much. If you've ever watched the Nürburgring 24 Hours, which is part of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, then you'll know that pro drivers deal with those kind of things a lot, even in one lap. They'll have lots and lots to be interrupting. So, leader in class then. In silver, it is Liu Kai-shun. He is also leading the race by 2.5 seconds, grown the gap to Ryo Ogawa, who is also our Pro-Am leader. There he is in that very familiar livery with the Alpine stars over the rear haunches of the 296. And then we have to switch our attentions down to car 27. And car 27, the Mercedes, is our Silver Am leader. Not too much of a battle going on as yet for them, but there is only 5 seconds separating McPherson and Wang Zhongwei at the head of the Am category, and that could therefore change hands pretty fast down in 16th spot. There is the Mercedes in the Silver Am lead, and you have to go all the way back to Max Hussein for the second Silver Am, so that shouldn't change hands in the near future. As I said, Am could well change quite quickly. Heinrich is the other person to keep an eye on. He's closing in on the battle for third position, and that will give something else for to worry about. Akash Nandi under pressure here. Nandi in 8th position. That was Max Hesse having a quick look. There is Andrew McPherson. Where is Zhang Wei? Just behind. Yeah, so that is getting close between those two Porsches, and it won't be long before the purple Origin run machine slides up the inside of Andrew McPherson and steals away the AM lead. They've been first or second out of the 22 in every single race we've had so far. We have had victory in the second race in Mandalika for the car 51, but otherwise they've been third in AM, and third has actually been last in some of our races earlier on in the season. So let's see. Wang Zhongwei looks around the outside of Andrew McPherson, all the way around the outside at turn number 5, and gets that one done easily. As I said, we were very, very impressed with Wang Zhongwei in the first race of the season in Sepang, and had been racing in Pro-Am, so lots of experience. Of course, these AM competitors, they sort of lack that pro element to help them progress, even though someone like Ben Porter, obviously, Whisper it, is kind of a pro.
Yeah, I mean, it is, I would say, very high level in the AM Championship. So yeah, missing that pro, maybe some teams have data they can share so they can learn or benefit off the pros there, but of course AMAC is a single car entry, but as you say, Ben Porter also quite a shiny AM maybe.
Max Hesse has got past Akish Nandi, and he now sets off up the road pursuit of Elias Sepanen. Got a 5-second penalty for car 77, which is Jiatong Liang, who has overtaken the number 22 off track. So he's overtaken Wang Zhongwei, which is silly really, because Liang Jiatong is a silver and Wang Zhongwei is an AM, and so he probably didn't need to. Didn't see the move, but either way, now that Mercedes needs to make good headway, and the 77, with 2 victories in the silver AM category last time out in Mandalika, I think actually heads the silver standings, as we see Heinrich and Miyake change hands. So Lauren Heinrich moving up into 4th position, but Miyake wants it back, and he's got the grunt in the Nissan down the main straight. Now he provides the big slipstream to the Porsche, but I'm not sure, even in a straight line, the Porsche has any way of competing. Got a little bit of back markery for Ogawa, and that's going to be so frustrating for Lauren Heinrich. Of course, many a race in BOP championships, whether it be hypercar or GT3, but that Nissan's going to be hard to pass and get away from.
Yep, that straight line speed of the Nissan really showing itself here.
So is there, what can Heinrich do? He really needs to, I don't know, make the pass early on in the lap so he can make the difference in the middle part of the lap?
Yeah, correct. I mean, ideally get the overtake done early, and then he can make a gap, because we see him now, he's getting close to the rear end of the Nissan through this middle section here.
It's interesting to see that Nissan has dropped off the back of James Yu Kwai, so that was a big battle earlier on, but Miyake, either his pace has dropped off or James has settled in and starting to take some time out of his tyres.
I wonder if that GTR has just munched its rear tyres, because now he's really struggling. Look at Heinrich, he's going to send it up the inside here now.
Oh, but the Nissan could go all the way around the outside and still claims the inside line for the final turn. Oh no, drive-through penalty for the AM car. And we know what happens here, side by side. Maybe a bit of a side draft this time, but the Nissan moves away. He obviously is aware that that's a possibility and has the inside line, and now no longer is the overlap. If we had spotters, car clear, but we don't. Lauren actually possibly close enough to send it down the inside. A little bit of overspeed from the Porsche into the braking zone, into turn number 1, and that has now worked out for Lauren Heinrich. Intelligent driving from the German, because now he can start making a bit of headway through these corners at the start of the lap.
Yeah, really awesome racing here, using the wind or the air to his advantage. We could see him side drafting the GTR, managed to get under him, and then the Porsche just a bit more powerful on the brakes and was able to make the move stick. I think now he's going to start to pull away, especially in Sector 3.
You look at this, and we did it last time out as well in Mandalika. You go, well, hang on a second. If they've got the pace, where on earth is Ghiretti and Boccolacci? 10th and 11th spot, and really no progress being made by 9, 11 and 37, not in the same way that Heinrich is gobbling up the field. They've now had to clear the number 20 machine. That's a new entry, as we said at the top of the show, from the Malaysian duo of Aaron Lim and Haziko. Actually, Hazik had a mammoth accident here in Lamborghini Super Trofeo a couple of years ago, so knows the circuit, but also sadly knows the medical centre of this track. Whether that's put him off slightly, I do not know, but it's lovely to welcome more Malaysians into the series. So a team you know as well, and getting their first taste of AM racing here in GT World Challenge Asia. Through the shot, first, second, closing down now, James Yukwai on Ogawa. This has been a good showing from our Silvers to keep Ogawa at bay. Can Lauren Heinrich close enough of a gap? It will be a need of about 4.5 seconds. Oh, who's run wide there? That looks like it was Sepanen. Won't hurt too much unless that is an issue for the Mercedes. It is. Oh no, Climax with such a strong result. It was looking so good in qualifying as well. He's done a great job of finding the hole in the wall there so we don't delay the race. But Sepanen out of the lead in Silver AM. And that puts Max Hussein in the GTO KRC BMW up to the lead in Silver AM. Kondo up to second. And despite having a penalty, Yang Jiatong will be in third in Silver AM. But here is your leader. I haven't seen too much of them. Liu Kai-shun with a 2.6 second advantage over a pro driver, and he is staying ahead and not losing that advantage. The only question will be when we get right to the last 10 laps, if those tyres fall off the cliff.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the lap times, it looks like both Liu Kai-shun and Ryo Ogawa doing very similar pace, both very consistent. Yeah, both very consistent. Doesn't look like Ogawa's making any inroads to the leader. So really fantastic driving from Liu Kai-shun to be this consistent, this deep into the stint.
I mean, he is the fastest man on track, is he not? Yeah, 1:40.3. Yes, he's got clear track ahead of him. Yes, Lauren Heinrich had to deal with a bit of traffic, but he's still able to match Heinrich's pace, and that just is incredible. A works driver in a car that he knows so well, pushing for the victory, and Liu Kai-shun is faster than him. The 13 car of Harmony Racing down in 6th position. The 72 with Brendan Leach aboard up to 12th as they all passed Sepanen. There is third in Silver AM, and I think he stays in third despite that penalty, because actually Tom Sargent doesn't score points as an invitational. So despite that 5-second penalty, Liang Jiatong will stay in third in Silver AM, down in 14th overall. But surprised to see a lack of progress from some of our pros. Be interesting to catch up with Brendan Leach actually down in 12th position, because he must be pushing through. They're catching those two Porsches. Leach and Hussein, we just checked in with Max Hussein, who is our leading Silver AM car, but he's catching Boccolacci and Ghiretti.
Yeah, really strong pace here from BMW of Max Hussein.
Quick look at the second car in the AM category. McPherson has, I'm sad to report, dropped like a stone through the AM field. And having been given the car in the lead, he is now in 4th position. He may well be able to survive that. Well, no, actually, he might drop down because the gap at the start of the lap between McPherson and Aaron Lim was less than a second. So I think they may drop to the tail of the field. Oh, slippery surface flag in the final turn. I wonder where that has come from. Will not make life any easier for our competitors through this final turn, where they need so much to get traction. Here's the last corner. It'll be difficult to see any oil on track, but drivers will possibly adjust their line to avoid it, because losing any kind of momentum onto the main straight, it will be catastrophic.
Yeah, definitely. So really unusual, really, to have oil down from any of these GT3 cars.
1.5 seconds the gap now. There is a massive time loss on that last lap from Liu Kai-shun. Suddenly, I don't know what he did, whether he had traffic, but he lost 1.0 seconds and loses another 0.4 of a second. So has Ryo Ogara now, with 6 minutes remaining, decided to unlock the pace, and Liu Kai-shun was already at his maximum early in the stint, and we're going to have a bit of a concertina for the flag. Laurin Heinrich is now just 4.7 seconds off the lead. Mayaki stays about 7.8 seconds off the lead, but Heinrich is closing in, Yukwai is closing in, Ogawa is closing in. 4 cars for the victory. Team Gojigen will just have to watch and wait. Those cars ahead of him, because they can't keep up. Here we go, pressure on the young Chinese driver, just 5 events into his GT World Challenge career. And there is the progress of Laurin Heinrich on James Yukwai. Taken 1.4 seconds out of him on the last couple of laps. Could have been victorious, Yukwai, if they didn't have that 5-second penalty from a jump start. But if he didn't jump start, then he wouldn't have had the clear track ahead of him in the first couple of laps. Although actually, didn't they lose the lead in lap 1? So yeah, didn't really take advantage of the jump start, did he? Here's Heinrich. Rattles his way over the curb in the penultimate turn. Able to take a slightly tighter line. Does it matter? You've been out on circuit there. Did you try a couple of different lines around the final turn?
Yeah, I mean, that last corner, you have almost an infinite amount of lines, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is the exit down that straight. So whichever line enables you to get on full power, the earlier the better. That will be the line to take. But as we saw, Heinrich able to stay tight. The Porsche is very good over the curb, so perhaps he can maximize a bit more of the track width to give him a run down the straight.
Not a battle for class position, but the overall third spot. 4 minutes remaining, and you get a feeling this is bubbling nicely. Less than a second now between our leaders. Less than a second between third and fourth. Possibly with this attention from Laurin Heinrich, James Yukwai is going to turn his attention to the mirrors rather than attacking Ogawa, which is a shame for us because we really want this to concertina fully. Ferrari 296 GT3 first and second, not the Evos. An Evo Porsche with that slight, those louvres over the front axle. One of the more visible things that they did at the start of the season to that car. The last time the Audi was Evo'd was about 4 or 5 years ago. That's a car originating from 2016. On board with the race leader then. Let's see how this car looks now after a full race. We've sat on board with him in the early part. Of course, he did get a different set of tyres, but how stable is this car now in the hands of Liu Kai-shun with just 2 laps remaining? Not going to be able to see in the mirrors what's going on behind him. We'll keep an eye on it as he goes into turn number 1, Sandy.
Yep, so let's have a look now. Car's much lighter, so he's able to brake later into T1. A little bit wide perhaps, but gets a really nice good run down the hill here.
We were hoping to stick with them, but Lauren Heinrich interrupted us because he had a little look down the inside of James Yu Kwai. Wasn't quite close enough, but he doesn't have that issue that he had with the Nissan of a massive differential in straight line speed. Of course, the whole point of BOP is that, yeah, okay, the Nissan's strong in the straight, but it was weak in the corners, and it all played out eventually. And actually, James slightly outbraking himself into turn number 1. That's why it got close.
Yeah, and it's only going to get closer now as he starts to check his mirrors a little bit more. Heinrich does have a few tenths over James. So let's see now. Wow, the Porsche looks very strong in Sector 3. I mean, they're just able to monster the curbs, get good traction out, and that's the gain that we keep seeing.
Stabilised between Kaishun and Ogawa at the head of the field. So this the closer battle. Heinrich nearly clipping that bollard on the inside of the penultimate turn. He can take a tighter line, cover less distance. There is a tiny overlap between the two, and that means a big slide from James Yu Kwai, and that is already day done, surely, for him. He's got less momentum down this 1 mile straight, and Heinrich, though, doesn't seem to be able to close in that much. The straight line speed is good on the Audi, and Heinrich's going to have to be very, very brave into the first turn. Final lap, final opportunity into turn number 1, and Heinrich not close enough, but goes for the switchback. Perhaps he will have more momentum out of the turn. Turn 2, not quite an overlap there. If you don't have an overlap there, then perhaps not an opportunity for 3, because it's too mid-speed a corner, not big enough a braking zone. Through 4 then. And turn 5 is your next opportunity. Nothing happening at the head of the field. Is Lauren Heinrich close enough? Oh, nearly wipes out the rear wing of the Audi. Just about keeps himself away. There's certainly half an opportunity there, but James Yu Kwai absorbing the pressure, and we've seen how aggressive James can be. Into the braking zone of the chicane. Again, a sort of a half move from Lauren Heinrich. He really wasn't close enough. And now he just has to get incredibly inventive through the final couple of sectors. There's an overlap there, side by side for 3rd position. But James Yu Kwai, just doesn't have the traction. Doesn't have the traction in the final couple of turns. And there is a change on the final couple of corners for 3rd position. Yu Kwai will hold on to 2nd in silver. He'll be behind, though, the 96. That had the pole position thanks to David Chen. That had the lead of the race thanks to a great first stint for the team owner of Harmony Racing. And Liu Kaishun has not been troubled. In his 5th start, he takes his first victory in GT World Challenge Asia. It's a first victory for Ferrari in this year's championship. Ogawa makes it a 1-2 for Ferrari. Heinrich up to 3rd, to the delight, surely, of Lu Wei. And then the rest of the top 10 come across the line, and you have to wonder where Ghiretti and Boccolacci were today. They were not invited to the front party. Caught by Brendan Leach by the end. Winning in Silver Am, Max Hussein in the number 10 machine. 2nd for Porsche Center Okazaki. That will be celebrated this evening. And the Ang Jai Tong will be 3rd in Silver Am. Across the line comes the 2nd of the Porsche Center Okazaki cars that had that contact. And here is the Am winner. Origin picking up victory, at least in Am. Wang Zhongwei, another strong performance from him with a decent, healthy advantage over Setuan Santosho in 2nd position. Mike Joe, in fact, taking over that car in the 2nd part of the race, didn't he? Christian Colombo will be 3rd. But what a start this young man is turning out to be. It was good results with Andy Dung alongside him, but Andy, even last year, was prone to a couple of little errors. And with the experienced head of David Chen alongside him and the guidance, a circuit that Liu Kaishun would have raced in Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and maybe that is the difference. Maybe the experience of being here before you suddenly just come to a track with a different headspace, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, you've just got to commend the driving both of David Chen in the opening stint and Liu Kai-shun now in the closing stint. I mean, I don't think he put a foot wrong. He was super consistent throughout the entire stint, despite the pressure he had from Ryo Ogawa behind. So, no, really, really massive congratulations to Harmony. I mean, they truly earned this one today.
Entertaining race, and also, you know how we talked about it being chaotic? That was a beautifully clean race, great racing, hardly any contact apart from that first turn, and the safety car driver, who would expect, I think, to be going out onto circuit at some point, only briefly had to send a marshal out to pick up a bollard.
Yeah, yeah.
A new livery for Harmony Racing, a new driver pairing for Harmony Racing, and that has brought them victory. Who said that Purple was unlucky? Because Purple has just won the race. David Chen and Kai-shun chatting away with big smiles on their faces. And don't forget, he was being pursued by pro drivers. That is what makes this particularly impressive. He kept his own. I think he was losing the car by the end. I think it wouldn't have lasted too many more laps. And Roy O'Gara comes over to congratulate him as a pro driver. What a day as a silver driver to go, well, yep, I kept him, yeah, so-so for Roy O'Gara, because he knows that he should really have been able to get into the lead of the race and to take victory. But ultimately, I think LM Corse should be really happy. They've come back to the championship and are already on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly cause for celebration for LM Corsa. They had a very strong opening stint, put themselves up there, and then Ryo Ogawa just bringing it home very close to Liu Kai-shun, but just not enough to challenge for the victory.
It's the best result for LM Corse, or certainly for Wakisaka ever in GT World Challenge Asia in his 35 starts. And so coming back also to a track that you know, the experience of being here in GT3, the experience of the tyres, having that confidence after a better year. And let's then go down to Hana, who has our victors, and there should be some big smiles down there in Parc Fermé.
I'm here with the winners of the first race here at Fuji in the GT World Challenge Asia. How do you feel like the second stint of the race was?
I feel great. The car feels amazing. Thanks to the team for giving me a really good car and a good teammate leading to the champions. We struggled a little bit in the middle with the oil in turn 1, and then I somehow faced a steering issue into the 300R. I was turning right, and then suddenly the steering kicked back on me. I was like, so in the last 15 or 10 minutes, I was just hoping the car doesn't break down. And yeah, luckily we finished the job.
It's a great result despite the issues. Are you happy with the results?
Well, I think my teammate did most of the job, because at the start I was actually a bit after your interview. No, just joking. But going into T1, I said no, already I got overtaken. But it's okay. The first 3 cars we kept a good pace. All the other cars we create a gap. So I was lucky. We didn't get held up too much. So then the rest is up to him. I'm really happy.
Well, I think you both did a great job. Congratulations.
Absolutely, a wonderful job. And there on the podium, the black new car for Lu Wei. And Lauren Heinrich getting himself a 3rd position on his return to the championship. That surely means that they are, well, maybe not on the championship top of the standings, but a lot closer, that's for sure. Because the advantage of the 911, that is by far the worst result for 911 so far this year. A 9th position for Ghiretti. We hardly even saw them on track.
Both Ghiretti and Boccolacci just seem to be mired in the mid-pack there, unable to make any inroads to Akash Nandi in front, and then the top guys in front of there again. So yeah, let's see if they can do something tomorrow.
Back down to Hana and LM Course finishing in second spot.
P2 おめでとうございます。最後のスティントコンディションどうでしたか？
彼が優勝した彼がすごい速かったので、まあ明日はもっといい走りができるように準備します。応援ありがとうございます。
この結果で満足してますか？
チームがいい準備してくれたんで、また鈴鹿1000キロというビッグレースも控えてるんで、いい準備ができてると思います。
おめでとうございます。So they were happy with the results.
Right there they are.
They didn't look very happy, did they? they weren't smiling.
Yeah.
Which maybe they really felt like they could have won it.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the looks on their faces indicate that.
James Yukwai is beating himself up in his head, isn't he? He doesn't need to. Yes, he lost the podium, but my lord, he lost the podium to one of the very best GT3 drivers in the world, and finishes in fourth position in 5/10 of a second. Lauren Heinrich took that third position on the last lap. Let's go and hear from him.
I'm here with the P3 drivers. It was such a beautiful pass in turn 13. How did you have the confidence to make that move?
Yeah, I knew that we were a little bit down on the straight line, so that was our weak point, but I had always a really strong last sector through all the tight and twisty sections. You know, I think our Porsche worked really, really well there already on the brakes into turn 10, so I knew it's the last lap, I knew that's my only shot, so I went for it, and I could constantly apply the pressure, which I think was key to open the door in that moment.
Thank you, you did a great job. How do you feel the opening stint was? Where were the difficult parts of it?
I think we all saw it. It was Lauren. It was all about Lauren. And I'm so grateful also to the team. We had big mechanical issues since day one of this season with this car. And we spent so much effort trying to fix it. Now it finally works. So I'm just happy to be back, and we'll try to fight for the championship again and see what happens.
It's a race with two drivers, so I think you both did a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you. Take him to the podium.
Pretty standard spec from Lu Wei. He's always saying that everybody else is better than him, but he is one of the very best AMs. The AM category was won by Origin Motorsport, the number 22 machine, with Pro-Am won by LM Corsa, and Silver providing us with the winners overall. Silver Am won by GTO with KRC, Max Hussein getting in the victory. It was Harmony Racing just 0.8 of a second ahead of LM Corsa by the end, with Lauren Heinrich and Wei Lu in third position, completing the podium. James Yukwai missing out on that last couple of corners, and then Team Go Jigen in fifth spot. Adli Fung finished in sixth position, the lone silver driver, ahead of Team KRC's Max Hesse with big progress in the final couple of laps. And Akash Nandi faded to 8th spots. Then you've got the 911 and the 37, only 9th and 10th, with Brendan Leach up to 11th by the end. Great progress from the New Zealander. Then you find the top three in Silver Am, Usain, Kondo and Yamawaki, with Thierry Vermeulen getting his Audi up to 15th by race end, but a minute and 9 back ahead of the BMW team study. That's where you find the AM drivers. Car 22 in 17th position. The guest Absolute Corsa behind them. And then Climax Racing, Garage 75 completing the AM podium, with the Malaysian team getting ahead of AMAC Motorsport by race end. A retirement for Climax, a retirement for Porsche Center Okazaki, and a retirement right at the start with damage from Audi Sports Asia Team Phantom, who will carry a penalty into the next race after being judged as guilty of the crash at turn number 10 on lap 1. It's only the beginning of the action here in Fuji, because we have Japan Cup coming up for you later on today. And then we'll have the race 2s tomorrow, and the race 2s might be under some rain, just to spice things up even more, and as if we needed any more spice here in Japan. Let's join the podiums then. And Hana announcing our podium ceremonies, a nice big podium here in Fuji. And we'll first welcome our overall podium with a silver at the top of the standings on the top step, alongside the 2 Pro-Am entries. Be really interested to know what issues Origin have found with that Porsche is in comparison to what they've managed to cure, and whether they are similar to what Ghiretti and Boccolacci are suffering with.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to know.
Of course, 3 different teams there. You've got Origin, Phantom, and Absolute. So they're not going to be sharing information, that's for sure.
No, they are very much in competition with each other.
I was about to trying to work out what was going on with the backdrop there as it changes. Very, very cool as the trophies are presented to our top 3. And W. De Lorenzi, of the general manager from Pirelli Japan, presenting those trophies. He's done that before, hasn't he? Very efficient. So success penalty is going to be pretty heavy on that 26. That's going to massively hurt them for tomorrow's race. And you know, again, James Uquai finishing in 4th position. We spoke about this before. You avoid those silver penalties for being in the top 3. Surely it's going to help in your general overall championship.
Yeah, and it should give them a chance to fight tomorrow. No success penalty, and in the second half of the race against the AMs, they'll be able to close the gap.
So there'll be 20, 26, 25, I think it's 26 seconds for Liu Kai-shun tomorrow in pit lane over some of his competitors in silver. There is the overall driver standings after round number 5. Huang and Alessandro Ghiretti holding on to the lead. Anthony Liu still in 2nd position, and actually not as much progress made by Kung Fu Chen and James Uquai or Wei Lu as I thought there would be. Pato and Evans not scoring any points and dropping away. Akishinandi in 6th position in the same amount of points as them. But still, Huang and Ghiretti, thanks to those results in the first 2 rounds, still a healthy advantage going into tomorrow. So, Pro-Am then. Heinrich and Liu Wei. 2nd position in Pro-Am because you remove the silver winner. And LM Course then taking victory in class. They've already taken victory in classes last year when they were in the AM category. So Shigekatsu Wakisaka knows what it's like to stand on the top step of the podium.
And now we gladly invite David De Lorenzi, manager of Pirelli Japan,
and Max
to award
Hesse.
the trophies. All together now for a photo.
And his teammate Tony Ruohan, 3rd in Pro-Am. Remember Tony moving from Silver-Am last year, where he was partnered with Max Husend. He's he's given away his partner to elsewhere so he could fight for the Pro-Am title. And this year has 3 different teammates so far, with Max Hesse taking the pole position for tomorrow. So we'll be very interested to see what the BMW can do, considering Hesse's pace in the second half of this one.
Yes, it will be very interesting, but he's also got some very stiff competition from those around him.
So there'll be a decent amount more points in the Pro-Am category for those further back in the top 10, which means there's 10 points, sorry, between the 911 and the 11, but it is tight in Pro-Am. Thanks very much for joining us for race 1 here in Fuji. Race 2 coming up tomorrow. Make sure you don't miss it. It's going to be very, very, very entertaining. And so we continue with the rest of the podiums. And get ready for our next podium ceremony, which I think will be Silver Am. Can't remember if they do Silver or Silver Am first. Chance to talk about Akish. Disappointed, possibly, with dropping down 22 seconds by the end off the winner in silver. And in the end, with that pace of that Nissan dropping off the podium, those little flags, you see those? Opposite our commentary box, there's been 2 flag bearers waving enormous flags every single lap that that Nissan came past, and they are getting themselves prepared for the Japan Cup race, where they'll be doing the same thing again. Nowhere do you see the support like you do for Nissan Nismo across the world as well. We don't just see those flags here in Japan, you see them in every single race, and I can see the Nissan flag being moved now towards the podium so they can celebrate with Aoki and Miyake. David De Lorenzi back on the podium to hand over the trophies to our top 3. I think it's a big win for James Yukwai and Frankie Cheng, and I know that they were upset and there's a lot of chat going on still. 5-second penalty, don't forget, for Frankie Chen. That would have meant that James Yukwai would have stayed ahead. So, you know, it shouldn't just be James beating himself up, and I think secretly that's a better position to be in than to be in 3rd.
Yeah, certainly for tomorrow they'll still be in contention.
Whereas an extra 10 seconds wouldn't necessarily be in contention, but they only lose 3 points.
Yes, very true, very true.
If their focus really is in an overall title, if it's focused on silver, it doesn't matter at all, because it's a Pro-Am car in between them, so they don't lose any points at the Silver Championship. I don't know. It's there's probably an accurate mathematical equation for it, but I'm saying it's a good thing to be in 4th rather than 3rd. Oh, that's a shame. The Nissan boys wanted to spray some champagne, but everyone else has walked off. Go and drink it. It's Moet, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Worth saving.
Worth saving, exactly. Make sure it's in the fridge first, otherwise it explodes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've been covered in champagne a few times. It's horrible.
Yes, it's not that enjoyable.
Why on earth do we do it? Akish Nandi still leads the silver standings by a reduced margin of 8 points to the Audi, with a big haul, obviously, to Kai Shun Liu, who now sits in 3rd position on his own because he's changed his teammates. Next up, Silver Am category. Just 3 finishes in Silver Am, so those 3 standing on the podium. We have 5 in total, but one of those is, of course, the number 32, which would not... Sorry, we've got 6 in total. But we obviously lost Elias Sepane, and... Did I count wrong? Have we got 6? No, I think we've got 5. I must have counted wrong. So 5 Silver Am category cars, 1 which doesn't score points and 1 which retired. Such a shame for Climax Racing and for Mercedes as well, because Ellis was in a really strong position in global manufacturer standings. When you've only got, there we go, that's 1 champagne gone already. When you've only got 3 cars versus 9 Porsches, you really need those good days for Mercedes. as Max Hussein. He was rival to the tallest racing driver in the paddock in Mandalika by Luke Hartog, but with Luke not here, he wins again. He needs a BMW. Probably can't fit in the others.
Yeah.
Sorry, we shouldn't take the mickey out of Max. It's not fair. He's still a very fast driver. A bit more spraying going on there. They obviously have they have the laundry facilities. It is amazing. It's something you don't see in many other championships around the world. The laundry that hangs around the paddock. That's very special to Asian championships.
Oh, it's absolutely necessary, I would say, because of how hot it is here, and then if you go on the podium, of course, you need to get that out of your suit ASAP.
And so you have all of the race suits hanging off awnings around the paddock, and that is the decoration. There is the Silver Arm driver standings. Obviously, Liang Jiatong with a new teammate this weekend, so he sits on his own, 4 points clear of the Porsche Center Okazaki number 25 machine. Dean Chen still with third position despite not being here. He was so strong in the early part of the season, and interestingly not here this weekend despite Fuji being the place where he debuted in GT3. And one final podium, the AM category, and there is a welcome return to David Chipto Vanturo and his teammates. Have I said that right?
I think so.
Okay, good. And Christian Colombo alongside him. We've got the two Mercedes drivers who previously have raced in Pro-Am, but this year partnered together to race in AM, and then fighting the Origin AM duo, the number 22, which seems like the guys to beat. And shame not to see the Malaysians on there, but I tell you what, they weren't far off being on the podium in their opening attempt. And it is actually highly competitive, Am.
Yes, it is a very competitive field.
Wang Zhongwei in that 22 has actually stood on the overall podium in 2024 twice. Once with Paul Aaron and once with Patrick Pile, as obviously in Pro-Am that time. But again, choosing to move into the AM category alongside Liu Hangcheng, who we saw last year. What was he racing last year? I do not remember off the top of my head. Wang Zhongwei was in the 911 with Patrick Pile and Harry King. And Liu Hangcheng was in the Win Here Harmony car, of course, at the 55, that he shared with Alice Sepena. And in the early part of the season, Lorenzo Patrese. A slightly lazy pop from Christian Colombo. Trying not to get the race suits too dirty. And Setuan Santosho can't even open. Oh, that's kind. Look, it's very gentlemanly. AM drivers helping each other out, even with cocking the cork, popping the cork. Put my teeth back in. Hang Cheng and Wang Zhongwei leading the AM category ahead of Zhu and Santosho, with the AMAC Motorsport Porsche in third spot. Here are the highlights then of the first race of the weekend here at Fuji International Speedway, and Frankie Cheng having jumped the start, moving into the lead of the race, but only for one corner, because it was a great side-by-side battle through the first couple of turns, and he ended up moving and dropping down to third spot because Adli Fong moved up to the head of the pack, and they ended up fighting over second position. David Chen in second, and in coming into the pits together, Frankie Chen and David Chen, but penalties and success penalties, meaning that the Harmony Racing number 96 moved ahead in the pit stop phase. Kai-Shun Liu in the 96 maintained his advantage in the second half of the stint, with pros approaching, including Lauren Heinrich, who moved ahead of the Nissan that had started at the tail of the field but managed to progress all the way up into 6th position. There was a little bit of a fight between the two of them, but ultimately very, very clever driving from Lauren Heinrich to get herself up onto the podium by the end. A retiring Elias Sepanen in the 27 Mercedes. And then on the very last lap, round the outside in the final couple of corners for Lauren Heinrich on James Yu Kwai, who just had lost his tyres completely and managing to move himself up into 3rd, but it means that the Audi in silver does not carry success penalty to tomorrow's race. Harmony Racing and Ferrari taking the victory. His first victory in GT World Challenge Asia.